I'm Dorothy Guerra, and this is Tag Talk on Tag TV. Today we're going to talk about the Syrian refugees and the impact that they have on Canada. I was first brought to awareness of a little girl on Twitter named Bana Albed, and she had been posting from the center of the civilian war in Syria on Twitter. And her Twitter eventually blew up as she was posting comments like, "I'm fighting to stay alive."
To sleep. 8, 9. I want to leave. Now is okay. No bombing. My God, will us to finish war.
Today I have my niece with me to open this show, 8-year-old Alina Lacroce, and she's going to do her little speech about what she thinks about children and the people of Syria as they are going through the war, and what it means to be Canadian and how lucky she is to be Canadian.
Hi, I'm Alina Lacroce. I'm 8 years old. I live in Canada, and I go to school and I eat 3 meals a day. There's a 7-year-old girl named Bana that has been tweeting about the war, that has been wanting to stay alive. 2 million kids have not gone to school in Syria because of the Syrian war. 4 to 5 families are extremely poor. Without homes, most of the country does not have clean water. I live in Canada, but if I lived in Syria, who would help me?
Today we are going to be discussing the impact of Syrian refugees on Canada. Now I want to share a little story with you as to why this topic is really important to me. I woke up one day to a little news broadcast about a little girl in Syria by the name of Bana Albed, and she was posting on her Twitter account about how the war in Aleppo was affecting her childhood. And right away it grabbed my attention because every day I was waking up to see this little child and whether or not she was alive. Now, when we separate that and we live in Canada and then we hear on our news about the Canadian government bringing in refugees, obviously there's going to be controversy with that. Some Canadians will want them here and say they will benefit our economy with employment, whereas other Canadians will say we have better ways to spend our tax dollars. I am bringing on the show today my dear friend Sam Jisri, who is the executive director of Syria, and I've had the opportunity to meet with him a few times, and he has done some amazing work in helping with the transition of Syrian refugees. And we're going to talk a little bit about what his organization does and how it's separate from the Canadian government and how everything ties together, so he can clear up some of the discrepancies that you have on what the Syrian refugees are doing in our country. Now, I do want to put a little fact out there. The Canadian government has agreed to bring in 25,000 Syrians under the government program. Over 6 years, the estimated cost for that is $1 billion. On average, it takes anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 to resettle one Syrian. Now, the opposite side of that, and some people are saying, is that right now 11 million Syrians are misplaced. And since the war has started, 250,000 Syrians have died. Now, if we take that $1 billion and we invest it into some of the refugee camps that are being built, such as in Turkey, the idea is that we could save 500,000 Syrians as opposed to just the 25,000 that Canada has brought in. So what I would like to do is have a conversation with Sam and discuss some of these things that are obvious that we need to understand why we need to help and what is in it for us to help and what the outcome will be if we do help. So why don't we get started and introduce you. Introduce yourself from Syria.
Thank you very much for having me today, Dorothy. My name is Sam Jisri. I'm the Executive Director for Syria and the spokesperson for the newcomers in Ottawa. Syria have started exactly a year ago. It is a non-profit organization that's worked at the hotel from day one when people come to Canada. We translate for them. We help them with transportation. We help them with food bank. And it moved on to be an official NGO 10 months ago, with a board of directors and Canada-wide 1,200 volunteers, about 10 employees who work at South Syria right now. And South Syria has on the weekend a food bank. We have a clothing drive that collected more than 50,000 pieces of clothes. And we have given more than 700 strollers and more than 700 car seats. That make us right now, or put us on the top of the NGOs in Canada. We work right now with about 150 to 170 different NGOs and organizations from East Coast to West Coast. So we work with everyone. It is a diversity organization, so we work from United Church to Sikh Center to Muslim centers. We work with everyone, total diversity. So this is who is South Syria, and that's where we stand right now. The Syrian refugees, I'm going to get into explaining to the viewers the situation right now and what are the terms that's going to be used in this interview. When we talk about GARS, GARS is Government-Assisted Refugees. PSR is Private Sponsor Refugee. Under the Private Sponsor Refugee, there is different categories, such as SAH, which is Settlement Holder Agreement, and that's, or Settlement Agreement Holder, and that's churches and mosques. Some of them that's registered with the government as SAH. And then there is private sponsorship. And then there is Group 5, and they call it G5. And then there is community sponsor, and there is about 5 of them. On the other side, and that's all called PSR, on the other side there's something called asylum seekers. It is people who come through the airport, and they come on their own as a visa, and then they claim refugee, or they come from the state and they claim refugee. So we have those 3 categories.
Right.
We help all 3 of them. GTA, or Ontario in general, had the majority of the refugee, or we would say the biggest number of refugees who came to Canada. So I would say Ontario alone has probably about 6,000 refugees. Most of them are in the GTA area. So South Syria does work with about 4,000 refugees from Syria, mostly 99%, but there's other refugees who come to South Syria also. We never return no one. So this is the numbers of refugees approximately in our area, and this is the name tags for the refugees who are coming here. It's been 12 months already, and some of the refugees who come in, for sure they came on different timing. They didn't come all in one shot. So basically, there's some of them who came just like yesterday, and some of them who arrived a month ago and 2-3 months ago. So I would say, but the first 2,000 who arrived in December are due right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now
month 13.
The one thing I want to start with now, what I want to uncover here with you is to get people to understand why we need to help them. So, because there's a lot of controversy on whether we should and whether we shouldn't.
Definitely.
And I think what I would like to clear from here is, you know, if I can change people's mind, then we can change the world.
Okay, I'm going to take it, if you don't mind, one point at a time. So I emphasize on it, and I give it its actual
100%.
time, so people like really feel it.
Exactly.
Why would Canada help? Why would a person help? Because if you don't help, it is selfish. As simple as that. Can we all hide from anything happen in the world and say we are in Canada, it is a safe country, and we don't want to go and help? Definitely not. And that's why there is the UN, and there is good people who want to be, and they want to have the blue hats, you know, they want to have, those people want to be in everywhere to try to help for peace and safety of other people in the world. Try to feed the hungry. So, you know, Canadians is not known for greedy, and they're not known for selfishness. So Canadians always known for outstanding work and humanitarian work. And that's why we need to help. And you know what? The majority of Canadians does want to help. So if there is a little numbers of Canadians who doesn't want to help, we'll influence them one day and we'll make them get to help.
Right. Now, so let's address this point that I made. If we look at the numbers and the costs for helping our refugees here in Canada. So if we look at spending $1 billion to help 25,000 refugees, now what would be the difference if we took that $1 billion and we fed it to the refugee camps where we could help 500,000 Syrians?
Okay. in here we have to get into some numbers. You have 11 million who scattered around the world right now, and they are refugees from Syria. So Syria is, I would say Syria is almost empty right now. It has probably 8 million people. That's what we estimated right now as Syrians. So all the Syrians who are outside of Syria who need help. If you wanted to feed those people for a month, your $1 billion will be gone in a month. So, and I want to remind you of something in here. Teach me how to fish. Do not fish for me. So basically, when you teach me how to fish, I'm going to eat forever. If you fish for me for a day or 2 or 10, that's it. You're going to stop, and I'm going to be cut in the middle of, you know, the struggle. So basically, camps, there is a lot of people who did camps. There's camps in Turkey, camps in Jordan, camp in Lebanon, and there is some good camps, and there is some terrible camps, and there is some scattered camps that nobody ever heard about too. So there is people who contact us on Facebook for camps that are unknown. It is holes and people living in this hole. So the father would dig a hole, and I have a picture of this, and I could post them on my Facebook, and the father would sleep with his kids in this hole for a month, trying to feed them whatever he can. Literally, in front of the viewers, rats if he have to, just to make them live. So this is the life on the borders of Syria right now. So why Canada doesn't take the $1 billion and go give it to the UN or so and just build a camp? Because you know what? Canada doesn't see it this way. Canada see it in a way where they wanted to complete their help from A to Z. They wanted to bring those people and give them back their humanity, give them back their freedom, give them back their feelings and their life. And that's what happened to those 37 to 38,000 who have arrived to Canada. You talk to any of those people, you will literally tear out, just like Mr. Trudeau teared out a couple of days ago. Because you will feel their pain, and you will feel that, you know, they have come to have the most important thing in life, safety and freedom.
Right. And this is the thing, this is what's drawn my attention, because at first I can admit that I was against the Syrian refugee intake. But when I really sat down and I followed this little girl, you know, my heart went, you know what, this isn't just a war of people. There are children here, and these children deserve a chance. These children are our future. And then when I look at my own life growing up, my parents were refugees from the war in Europe. You know, we've all, in Canada, we've all come from a place somehow where people have immigrated here and have built this country on what it is. Now, on the flip side of that, what about when we're helping 25,000 Syrians, what about all the other Syrians that are misplaced and then they don't have an opportunity?
They are unfortunately misfortunate. So you can't help everyone, right? We talked about this. No country can help everyone. What Canada did, they give the file for the 25,000 to the IOM, which is the UN. So the UN is bringing they're choosing, so it is like a random choice. They're choosing the families to bring them into Canada. So the people who came to Canada are fortunate enough to be in Canada. And yes, they are fortunate enough to be in Canada, and they should be very thankful for this. So the others, unfortunately, they're not fortunate enough to be in Canada or somewhere else on earth. You heard about so many people, thousands, tens of thousands who died in the ocean, who died in the water trying to escape. So why did this man put his children on a very old boat and pay $10,000 that he saved all his life, or he sold everything he had to get this $10,000, put his children on a boat and go in the middle of the water for the boat to flip, and he died with his children? You know why? For hope. He had hope. That's all he wanted. He had hope for his children. He had hope for his wife. And he ended dying with them. Right. Yeah.
Now, one thing I want to talk a little bit about is the fact that people are questioning even what is happening inside Syria. And we had a little conversation about this, so I'll let you go as far as you would like with this, because I know you're very passionate about this. But from my understanding, it is a civil war, which you're obviously stating against that. But the way the Syrian war originated was way back in 2011 when a young boy posted a revolutionary comment against the government on a wall. And the government went and tortured this little boy, and people stood up in defense of him. And from that, as the months increased, more people started to die, which became the rebels against the government. And so many people today sit here and say, well, Syria caused this on themselves. And now it's become a world burden.
My intake on this, before actually I start, I want to clarify something, because right now I work as a humanitarian worker, and I work with SAP Syria as a director, which is a humanitarian cause. So I do help everyone, I do stand with everyone from both sides or from all the sides. Whoever walk to us is more than welcome, and we never look at them anything but human. But in here I'm going to reveal my understanding to the whole theory and what I feel and what I know about this. I have not been on the media talking about this for the past couple of years. It is an opportunity that Dorothy opened it today, and I'm going. She really, you know, digged in deep, and I'm going to open up and talk about this. I love your passion, by the way, and that how you almost flipped side within moments when I talk to you, and I'm going to give this to the whole viewers right now. We live in Canada. We live in Ontario. 10 years old to 14 years old children comes out to the street, and they boast that they don't want the premier, per se. I'm just saying that. Any premier. Any government official.
Any country.
In any country. And precisely I'm saying here in Canada. Would the premier go and take those 10 children and throw them in jail? They're minors. And after she put them in jail, their parents were just trying to measure what happened in Syria to here. Dorothy, me, and other 20 people or 50 people come out to protest for our children to come back home. So the man says, forget about, the premier says, forget about your children, and this is history, everybody knows it from all sides. Yeah. Forget about your children, you have nothing in here, get out. The people stayed and protested, they want their children. He sent the army or the police after them, and he gave them an order to shoot to kill. And people died on the street that day. It is history again. Now, would that be called civil war in any way or any manner around the world? Definitely it is not civil war. This is freedom. People asking, and in that moment, I want to remind you, at that specific era and time, protests were going in Yemen, in Egypt, and in Tunisia. So it wasn't like something that's just happening in Syria.
Right.
And, you know, those people, after the order to kill from the premier, Assad supported him. And I don't want to offend anyone here of Assad supporter or not or whatever, but I'm saying the truth, and I'm saying what I believe. So in that moment, Assad supported the premier. You want my opinion? And I say that on so many channels and media hubs before. I would have took that premier, if I was in Assad's position, had a very tough talk with him and sent him outside of the country. And I would have calmed everything and give flour and chocolate to those people. And believe me, the Syrian people are so calm and nice and so easy to understand. And I swear, this is through history. You could calm them with a smile. So I don't know. Dictatorship is in some people. And they chose, I would say, the officials and the government, it chose in Syria for Syria to be where it is today. And other countries around the world supported them on what's happening to Syria, and without mentioning those couple other countries. And then they brought the terrible, miserable, who call themselves Muslims, and they're non-Muslims. And I'm very thankful to the world that's been, you know, and to the social media that educated people so much that our government and our, you know, municipality, I was talking to municipality, they all understand those people are not Muslim. And I put an example before, KKK in the state before, their cross is bigger than, you know, their Bible. Their cross is this big.
True.
Does that make them Christian? Definitely there is no Christian in Canada that answered me back and said that those people are Christian. Those people are not Christian. They're killers, but they carry the cross. So those people, if they have a beard and a turban, they are not Muslim.
Right.
Okay? And, you know, the typical Syrian, the nice Syrian, the average Syrian who is awesome with his neighbors from all sects and all religions, we never have problems in Syria. When have you ever heard about Christian and Muslims having problem, maybe in Lebanon, but not in Syria, having a problem in Syria? We never had that.
Well, this is the other side of the argument, because those nice Syrians are what became the rebel Syrians that have escalated into this war. And yes, now it's the rebels against the opposition and the government, but it's also bigger than that, because it's become, you know, the Islamic State fighting as well, and other, you know, jihad getting in there and trying to turn this into a Muslim cleanse, and, you know, and it's escalated to be so much bigger than just 25,000 Syrians that Canada can help.
And this is why I stopped talking about this for the past couple of years, because it is not Syria. It is not Syria right now. It is something else. And all those people in there, you know, it is not a Syrian war. It is no more just the protest and people trying to get their freedom. The whole world, by the way, and I put a big guilt on the whole world. The whole world has to do what's happening in Syria, because if the world wanted to intervene, and I'm not talking by the machine and the army, even by opinions, they could intervene. But the world is very silent on what's happening in Syria. The whole world has a hand full of bloodshed on what's happening in Syria. And, you know, this needs to be stopped.
Right.
You know, there is more children killed in Syria than hunters hunt animal every day. Yep. Can you imagine that?
Well,
hunters around
1,000 people have been killed to date, and a big number of those are children.
Actually, that number is very, very, very old for Syrians. What's killed till today is way above, and me and you could have a discussion on this privately, and I'll show you some facts and proofs from other agencies who collect the numbers of death and murders in Syria, is way above 1 million.
Now it's over 1 million.
Yes, yes. So it is 3-4 years ago, it used to be 250,000. So we're talking about 1 million right now. How many people die every day right now in Aleppo? What's happening in Aleppo? And we want to go for a protest. People call me and say, Saf, Syria, please come out for a protest. You know, bring the people for protest. What are we going to do with the protest? I'm sorry. I love to help, but we protested so many times. What's going to happen? There was a protest back in the days to close the embassy. And we did close the embassy. The embassy is closed. You know, the government was very supportive in here, and they said, you know what? We disagree with what Assad is doing, and we're going to shut it down. And they did shut it down, and they shut all his embassies in Canada. Right. So they have no officials in Canada in here. They kicked them out. But after that, what are you going to ask? Can Canada alone just go and fight in Syria? No, they cannot.
No, they cannot. But
there is NATO. There is so many things into it. Now, let's go back into the civil topic.
Yeah.
And let's go back into Canadians' help. So Canadians' help by bringing refugees in Canada. Number one, Canada needs new people all the time. For any country to nourish and to get bigger and the economy get bigger, you need newcomers, because what doesn't expand doesn't grow.
Right.
It is known.
Right. But just to stop you there, Canada also has a homeless issue, where we have 250,000 people that are not living in homes. So how do we how do we make a difference between helping our own people and then, you know, rehoming refugees?
Two sides to that topic. I'm going to start with the hotter side and then go back to the other side. Do you think for a moment, does any average Canadian think for a moment that homeless are on the street, and I talked to government officials about this, are on the street because they don't have other choice? I will take you with the TV and go and do a survey with 50 homeless downtown Toronto. Let's take downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
Is those homeless on the street because they have no other choice? If they are on drug, if they are doing, you know, if they're drinking, if they're spending their money that they get from welfare, you know, there's so many other hundreds of thousands who live peacefully with $500, $600, $700 that they receive from welfare. They choose to live in a basement or in a room. They chose to wait and educate themselves more and get back to work. They chose to go to rehab if they have a problem. They chose to live. So if someone, and I'm not, you know, I'm not hitting on them, I'm just saying the truth, and somebody has to bring out the truth.
True, and this is why
so
I'm asking
if somebody, if you know, some people have problems in their life, and they need to be in rehab, they need to be in centers, they need to be in shelters, but nobody is hitting those people on their hand and telling them to stay on the street. Nobody asks them to stay on the street. So homeless, when they stay on the street, it is minus 30 out there. They have other choices, but they're not doing it.
Right.
And their paycheck is finished 24 hours after it goes into their account, or 48 hours. Go do a survey about this before you argue at this point on social media if anybody wants to talk about this.
And that's fair, but now look at this angle. Now, if Syria, for some reason, had a ceasefire and the war ended and everything got cleaned up, and we rehome these Syrians here in Canada, and all of a sudden everything is wonderful in Syria, how do we know that after our taxpayers' dollars are spent, they're not going to pick up and go back to Syria?
Because...
And then our economy is in big influx because we've lost all these people that are doing these jobs.
And here we look at this. I give you two choices in your hand. One is future for your kids. I helped you, I supported you, and something that's good right now, or I give you the other, which is a big hole and that need a lot to be fixed. Which one you choose? So Syria right now is not capable of taking all those people back. The infrastructure in Syria is gone for 50 years ahead. Yeah. People have to understand this. Syria needs to be rebuilt from zero ground, under zero. So, you know, those people are not going to leave. I could guarantee you this. As their spokesperson in Canada in here, those people are so happy with this. Unfortunately, they cannot leave. A person, okay, when you taste Canada, you can't go back. Right. Very simple. Canada is Canada. And we go back to in history to so many miseries and atrocities that happen around the world. Did the Vietnamese come back? Yeah. Did anybody come back? Did the first French and British who came to Canada come back? We wouldn't have Canada today. So Canada haven't been going down in numbers, it is going up in numbers. I know Canada is slow in growing, but you know what? It is good for safety, peace, everything. We're happy in Canada. So, you know, those Syrians right now need help. Right. The Syrian newcomers in Canada, we're talking about a piece of information. Canada had 41,000 in census 2011. The total Syrians in Canada approximated it was 41,000. And today, by the end of 2016, beginning 2017, we're going to have 80,000 Syrian, double.
In Canada.
In Canada. So 80,000, 40 like before, former Syrians, and 40 new refugees. Now, those 40,000 Syrian refugees do need help. They need help with learning English. Did anybody integrate within a year? I asked that question to so many people yesterday when I was in Ottawa. People don't integrate within a year. The first year is the most important year, but it's not enough. Yes, it's just to observe the culture shock. Yeah. But it is not enough to, you know, take care of everything. You got to remember the first month or two they were in hotels. Right. And they were receiving information sessions from government. The third month, they moved to their home, and they started registering in English schools, and their kids started going to school. And they had to know the area around, the surrounding area, know where to shop, where to go for prayers, and so on, whatever their religion is. So it took them 3-4 months just to start the settlement process. And then they started learning English. Another thing I want to remind you, a lot of link school, English, ESL, are full, and people are on waiting list. So there is Syrian who haven't attended yet any English school, Have you ever, do you know that?
Well, we have other immigration, other immigrants here that are also lining up for ESL, which is, when you just look at learning the language, that's where the influx of people becomes another aspect of the problem.
Yes.
Right? And if they're not learning English, how can they effectively help the economy?
I'll tell you a little story.
Absolutely.
In Kitchener, I went to Kitchener 4 or 5 months ago. We had baskets to give out in Ramadan, where we did a Southern basket, and we had like 80 volunteers delivering them all over GTA area. So I went to Kitchener to give the baskets to some of the new Syrians in there, and I met them in the coffee shop in Tim Hortons. And it was after working hours, and there was maybe 4 Canadians from Kitchener, original, sitting with Syrians on tables and teaching them English at about 5:30 in the afternoon or in the evening. So when I talked to them, I told them what's going on. They said after school and after work, those Canadians would come in here and voluntarily teach the newcomers English. This is the story and the raw model we want to take. Canadians like that, Canadians with heart. Even someone, and I'm not talking only about Syrian,
right.
any newcomer, you want to help, you ask how I can help, the least you could do as a neighbor, target those newcomers and go teach them English. Sit down with them. They're nice people. Sit down with them, talk to them, teach them English, teach their kids English. And after I said this on CBC, I had more than 100 call and email of people who wanted to participate in teaching English.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah.
That's when you start to draw the human side of people. When
Yes.
you have to physically see something in order to make it real, right? And that's why I spend time looking at the inside of Syria and what is happening inside that war, because you don't feel compelled when you're seeing somebody sitting in a refugee camp, but you feel compelled when you're seeing them in the middle of a war zone with bombs coming down and children being pulled out of rubble. You have to draw on that impact to get people to help.
Definitely.
Now, with that being said, why don't you now shed some light on what exactly your organization does and how it has helped and how that help is different from the government aid that we're giving? How do you help Canadians with your organization?
Okay, so the Canadian government, when, number one, they committed to give the refugee their status, bring them in airplanes, they come to the airport. In the airport, Mr. Trudeau committed to give them their PR card, which is permanent resident, so nobody call them refugee, they are, permanent residents. And then they give them their social insurance number and their health card. Their health card is not our OHIB, it is different. It is called the FHIB, and it is a federal health program, so it is different. They have a little bit...
Can you explain that a little bit? Because
Yes.
that is another concerns that Canadians have, that Syrians are using up the medical health care and then depleting resources.
Yeah.
So you addressing the health care is actually really important.
Dorothy, I see you hitting a lot on Syrians today. What's going on?
I just want you to help people understand why we need to help them.
Definitely, definitely. I'm just kidding. So, yes, the federal health program is a health program where it provides, just like the provincial OHIB health program, but it has a little bit more add-on. Dental in emergency cases where you need, a temporary filling or something like that, it could be taken care of under that health program because you don't have money yet, you're not working. And the second thing is prescription. If you need medication, and in certain cases, not everything, you would get also prescription for medication. So it is a special program for refugees in general, not only for the Syrians. And that's the FHIB. Now, what's going to happen to Syrian in month 13, they're going to lose...
So this is a month after they've already been here.
No, yes, no, that...
13 months later? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, the FHIB and all the benefits they receive from day one when they come to Canada. Now, on month 12, it stops.
Perfect.
So
okay, yeah,
month 12, 30 days, it stops. Now, when that stops, what they're going to lose, they're going to lose their income, which is about $1,400 a month. And right now, for a family of 4, 5, and 6, that could be enough just to pay the rent for a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment. You know how the price is right now in the GTA area. So that money they pay the rent with, and then they're going to lose their federal health program, and they're going to move on into Ontario health program.
Okay.
which is OHIP. This is mostly what they're going to lose. The English, Mr. McCallum said, English will continue for free under, for as long as it needed. Yes. The third thing would be language barrier for people who want to work and they don't have the language and the skills yet. For any employer to hire Canadians, usually in Canada and here, would require two things: Canadian experience and for you to speak some English.
Right, of course.
Yeah. So now when you don't have those, and in Quebec for sure French. So if you don't have those, how can you work? Now, I put out a lot of advices. It's been going, a lot of people tagging each other with the quotes that I come up with. Hire a new Syrian, you will get a strong, smart, dedicated Syrian who will give you his heart and give you 120% of work. I have said that so many times, and it's going as a quote right now all around social media.
This morning.
And the second thing I would say, volunteer. You want to help Syrian? What do you do, for example? You work in an office, you could talk to the owner and bring a Syrian with you to volunteer for a couple of weeks. Do that for him and then put that on his resume. That would help him a lot. You work in a kitchen and you want to taste authentic Syrian, beautiful tabbouleh and hummus and all those stuff. Hire a Syrian who does those stuff. Let him come with you to work for a month. He will work for you for free. Or maybe for whatever you want to give him.
Now, are you just doing the rah-rahs on the Syrians wanting to work? Because what about the ones that don't want to work? Because they exist as well. And how do we fix that?
I don't think that exists with Syrians. Me knowing Syrians, not because I am Syrian, but Syrians are literally anybody you talk to. When the war in Lebanon happened, Syrians were very helpful and they were very welcoming to their neighbors. When the Iraq war happened, Syrians were very helpful and very capable and very welcoming to their neighbor. When the Palestinians came in, they have the best time in Syria. So basically, Syrians are known for their welcoming, for their hearts, for their strength, for being smart, dedicated, and work. And I really mean this. If there is 1 of 1,000, that's not a ratio. That's a little. So I hope the experience, and I'm going to put this out loud, I hope the Syrian experience is a wonderful experience to Canada, an experience where those Syrians will help build Canada more, further and further.
Build our economy.
Exactly, build our economy. And you know what? Pay back to the country that took them. So I don't encourage any Syrian to be on social assistance and welfare except if he need to. And I'm going to emphasize in here.
How are you managing this within your organization to make sure that the people that you are helping stay on?
By educating them.
Okay.
We have the 4,000 people we deal with. We have them on WhatsApp groups. So my phone right now would have gone crazy. So our WhatsApp groups is open on actual PCs, computers, and there is other volunteers who work with me would answer questions. So it is like a full-time job for us. So we have 30 WhatsApp groups for newcomers alone that we answer questions. We send them information. We have a YouTube channel. We have a Facebook with over 8,000 people. So we use all the social media and technology around us to deliver our message. Sometimes even messages from government, federal or so, we deliver it because it's faster for us to deliver it than them to deliver it. Because if they want to deliver it, they'll deliver it by mail and it takes a couple of days. For us, we'll deliver it within the next 5 minutes.
Right.
So that's how we do it, and we educate them. Yesterday I was in Ottawa and they gathered the Syrians in Ottawa. And they had a meeting for 2 hours for me right before my flight to here. And the discussion about this topic. Month 13, what you guys going to do? Right. So I'm not only doing it here. I'm going national right now. January, I'll be in Vancouver. So after Manitoba. So I'm traveling all national, educating new Syrians and telling them, go work. If you are capable, if you're 30, 40, 50, and you're capable and you have background in something, go work in it. And they will, and they will achieve. Now, there is some people who are incapable of work, and let's talk about this. I told you how we're delivering the message. A 55-year-old who's shot in the leg, for example, or he's not fighting, he's home, something fall on him. What would happen with he's special need. This person can really work. He have problem. There is an older person that I know, confidentiality, I'm not going to mention names in here, about 60 years old. He's not ready for retirement yet, bit shy of 60. His wife is special need, and he take care of his wife. And we're helping this person here in Mississauga. So how... And he's an awesome person, taking care of his wife so well. He doesn't even have a washer at home because he's not allowed to. It is an older building, and he can't even afford having some coin going downstairs to wash the clothes in the washer machine. So what does he do? We visited him at home. He's washing with his hand, old style, for his wife, who is special need. Right. So there are situations like that, and there are $1,200 income that comes. It just pay their rent in the old apartment.
So if you're, using that story on itself, let's look at, what I had asked originally when we're looking at 11 million misplaced Syrians. Why are we choosing to bring in if we can't help everybody, and we're going to choose the people that we're bringing in?
We don't choose.
How are we?
It is random. Again, I mentioned that before.
That's important for people to understand.
The UN is the one who doesn't choose. It is a random. It is like lottery. It is a computer. Spin and a number comes, and that number will be called. So it is a computer. People don't choose who to bring. Those people are unfortunate. They're fortunate enough to come to Canada, and unfortunately, I know it's taken our mind, and it is in your mind, Dorothy. You want to help everyone because you're a good person. But you know what? You cannot. You cannot. Is this going to continue in 2017? I'm going to take you a next step ahead. Yeah. Probably, I've been asked this on the media so many times. Is this going to continue in 2017? No. This was a special timing and a special bill that came out, and they're helping the Syrian, and it happened in 2016. But the 25,000 guards finished. The BSR, they are as good as any other refugees, and they're going to continue sending their files, and if government accept them, if we have, let's say, 30,000, we have 300,000 to come in 2017. Right. And if 10% of that is refugee, the rest is immigration, that will make 35,000 refugees. Is Syrian going to be another 40,000 next year? No. The 35,000 is mixed refugee from around the world in 2017. If we get 5, 7, 10,000 Syrians from them, we're lucky. So what's happening in 2017 is not the same. So we can't really help, but what I would say, the rest of the world need to help, and what Canada did and what Germany did with 1 million refugees should happen and should be copied, and it should be done other places in the world.
Right. Now, we've also got the latest news, which is Canada's looking to stop the funding that they had originally promised, or all that money that they were originally bringing or dedicating to the Syrian refugees. What do you see the impact on this, and how this is going to play out if that funding does get stopped?
Actually, Canada is not... my return on this is totally different. Canada is not stopping the funding. The funding is originally had timing. So... the help that comes from federal government, it was conditioned. It was 1 year before they bring them. So it is not like, we had 12 months and we're stopping halfway, 6 months.
Right.
No, it is a contract. It is a 1 year, and the 1 year finished. Okay. And it is fair enough. We done enough. We give you a 1 year, and now you have to be, you have to integrate and you have to work yourself. If you cannot, there is other programs.
Right.
And this is where we say social insurance, but social system, but for people who really need it.
Right.
So if you really have 2, 3 children, you need to feed them, and the money stopped on you. And Dorothy, we have to put ourselves in their shoes, me and you. If we're not working, we are fortunate. I have a good job. I'm a builder. You have a good job. And let's say we don't work, and we don't even have unemployment insurance, and we just fired for some reason. How are we going to feed our kids? Even me and you would go on social assistance that time. You know what I mean? This is what the system is made for, Dorothy. Yeah. It is made for people who need it. Yeah. But it is not made for suckers who is going to sit down on it for a long time. And I agree with Canadians saying, with the rest of the Canadians, this is not made for people to stay on it for 5 years. If you need this as a step for 6 months to finish your education and go work, and pay your due diligence and pay your taxes, definitely, why not?
Right.
You agree or not?
Yeah, I agree. So just based on what you know from your organization and the follow-up that you're doing on the people that you're helping, what do you see the success rate is after this 13 months? Do you feel this is true success on the economy, or is there a lot of people that are still feeling misplaced, or I'm sure a lot of people dealing with, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder,
Dorothy, it is not fair.
issues?
It is not fair to be judgmental within a year. Not you, anyone.
And I understand
a year
that.
is not enough to judge. A year is not enough to judge, because when I came to Canada 25 years ago, when things were easier, nobody told me, did you integrate in a year or two? It took me 2 years just to learn English from school and the street, to be capable enough to talk to someone a full conversation. And that's me being a teenager. So we can't go to 40, 50 years old. He's working half of the day in a restaurant to learn and integrate. Did you learn English within a year? If you count all his hours together, probably he attended 50, 60 hours at school. It is not good enough to learn English. They need a bit more time, but I think they will integrate. Other people, didn't you integrate into the society, Dorothy? I integrated. So I think, you know what, Canada is built on immigration and refugee. And if everybody else integrated, the Syrians, you know, they deserve a chance, and they're going to integrate just fine.
Exactly. Well, and that's a very good point. Very good point. So why don't you tell us about what your organization actually does? How many people have you helped from beginning to end, what the follow-through is, and how people can participate in what you need?
Yes. SAF Syria right now has a warehouse in Mississauga, Dundas, in Dixie and Eglinton area. About 3,000 square feet. We have a lot of givers, sponsors, who sponsor our initiative. A return back, we advertise them because they are good people, so we have to let the world know they are good people. So the sponsors would give us, you know, food, so we buy food on a weekly basis. So we have food bank. But we do not receive the food from the food bank. We actually buy it. So if anybody have connection at a food bank where we could receive them some non-perishable food, that would be ideal. Second thing, we deal with a lot of babies. So baby formula, always, we get it every week. It finishes right away, and we short on people. Because, you know, a container of baby formula is from above $20.
Right.
So those people can't afford that, and they will try to go to alternative, which is not really healthy for the baby. So if anybody would have access to a baby formula, and we do have a pediatrician, a doctor, who's been giving us all his extra access of baby formula. I'm very thankful to him, Dr. Mansour. So basically, if anybody have a pediatrician could bring us more baby formula, that would be very well appreciated. Diapers, shortage on diapers, that some people started actually using, you know, sheets, just like back in the days, and that's not very healthy for the babies, and rash and all this stuff, and bacteria build and stuff like this. So I would say if people have access to diapers, or they could buy diapers and donate them. When we started, we had a mountain of diapers, probably above 100 boxes, but you know, it was at the beginning, then people rushed to us and we finished. So right now we don't have any diapers, so we would appreciate diapers for babies. So non-perishable food, baby formula, diapers, and then winter jackets. And I know a lot of people like to give clothes, but please, I do not want clothes, because I get calls every day on clothes. I'm backed with clothes, but I do really need jackets, but I do have conditions for jackets. And you have to listen to me carefully in here. Give what you like to wear. Do not give something that's ripped or that have a big stain on it, because we don't want it to keep a gap in those people's heart, and tell them, you know what, you know, you are less than us. Though they're not less than us, and we give them good stuff. Right?
Right. That's a very good point.
So we want people to wash, sanitize their jackets, perfume them, you know, put some sanitizers or scents or some nice smell in there, and clear bags. Clear bags are not expensive. In Dollarama, you get 10 clear large bags for $2. So here's advertising for Dollarama. So basically, so get some clear bags. And Dollarama, send us some donations because we advertised you.
There you go.
So get some clear bags and put like 2-3 jackets in a bag cleanly and bring them to us. This is the way we're accepting jackets. Donation times, we receive donations on Saturday only. You got to remember, we volunteers. So we receive donations on Saturday only, any Saturday, 12 to 3 p.m. Do not come at the last moment and tell me to 3 p.m. Try to come at 2:30. So from the experience, you see all kind of like anything that could happen. Now, New Year, we will be closed. We're giving our volunteer a break on New Year week. So the New Year week, we will be closed. And Christmas, if the weekend fall on Christmas also, we will be closed.
Great.
So this is the stuff we give. That's how we help. We have a lot of volunteers. You're encouraged to help us. If you wanted to volunteer, we're registered with volunteer.com. We are registered with so many volunteering organizations. If you want to help the cause and volunteer with us, you do not have to speak Arabic. That's a question that I get a lot, because people who speak Arabic would put them with in jobs that they need to translate or help someone in Arabic. But people who want to drive a family, they don't need to speak Arabic. People will understand you when, just drive me here or there. People who want to help family shopping, they don't need to speak Arabic. People who want to come to the warehouse and sort things or do the registration, because we have a full software on registration, do not need to speak Arabic. That's it for helping at SAF Syria.
Awesome. Now we're going to compel the audience one more time. Canada is obviously known to be very humanitarian, very kind and generous. And if we haven't captured your heart yet, I want to try this one more time. Sam has traveled to these refugee camps all over the place, and he's done extensive work hands-on in refugee camps. And I want you to just give a little bit of a description of what these people are living like in these refugee camps, and the fact that they are here getting a better opportunity to live. Just compel us with what's happening over there.
I was in the camps in Turkey and in Jordan 2012, 2013. Situations are very terrible, and I would tell you to time it by 10 or by 100 right now, because every day that pass, it make it worse. So in Jordan, I visited Ramtha area. Ramtha area is an area where there is a lot of refugees close to the border of Syria. Those refugees are living in scattered houses. It is not really houses, shags. So where people actually left them. So this place is empty. Nobody living in that town. Ghost towns. Syrians come in and they just lived in it. And they pay rent for it for the former owners. So now, those houses or those places where they live, if you go there and try to walk, you'll just cry from walking in there. You would see a single mom with 5 children living in a house which is one room. The washroom is in the room, and the kitchen is ridiculous. The kitchen has no fridge. The food is on the counters. It is covered with just plastic. And the way they're cooking inside the home is with fire, with fire logs, and the smoke is coming inside the room, and the kids are sleeping in there. So she doesn't think about poisoning her own kids because she want to feed them. So situations is very, very terrible. In Turkey, I was right on the borders. Tents, people living in tents it is very cold in Turkey. If it is -5 in here, we walk in the street for 5-10 minutes. If it is -30, they make a call for us not to walk in the street more than 5 minutes. Those people are living in tent. And water, it would rain, and water will be all over the tents. Snow is everywhere, and they still they have to suffer and live in these conditions, very tough conditions. Other people are not fortunate enough to have tents. I got messages from camps that just opened up on the borders of Syria, close to Lebanon. They're not even recognized by UN yet. So those camps, even the UN doesn't know about them. Where, swear to God, cross my heart, those people have holes. They digged holes for their kids to sleep in it. So they would bring a blanket, cover the hole, and this is their tent. This is not a tent. This is a grave for us. That's what we call it in Canada. So there is fathers and mothers who is putting their kids in this hole just to protect them, and they're sleeping in there. They might have something to eat, some grass maybe, they might not. So this is the situation in Syria. The kids that die in Syria every day is more than, unfortunately I'm telling you this, is more than animals that being hunted around the world every day. So kids are dying every day in Syria. Men, women, elder, this is happening, really happening. You know, the whole world need to awake. Enough sleeping. This is really happening, and we need a humanity awakeness. The world needs to know what's happening in Syria.
Well, you've moved me to tears, and I wanted to close this interview with a big pow, and I think you did that for me. So we do live in a country where there is so much love and so much kindness and so much opportunity, and I really thank you for joining me today. You know, it is argumentative as to whether or not this is a civil war, a big war, where the world should be part of this war. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We live in Canada, and we have an opportunity to help the people that we are bringing in. And I appreciate you taking the time to spend with me and educating everybody on how this is happening, why this is happening, and what we as Canadians can do to make a difference.
You must welcome, Dorothy, and thank you very much for having me. I want to put out a thank you, big thank you to all the Canadians, viewers around Canada. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing, and I said it yesterday at other media hubs. Canadians, I can't express myself about Canadians. If anywhere in the world they wanted to do, you know, humanitarian work, they should call out if there is any Canadian in here, because Canadians are leaders. They are leaders in humanitarian work. You guys have awesome hearts. Thank you very much. Chapeau, my hat goes off for you.
And if you have any questions for Sam Jisri, you'll be able to find him on the contact information here at the bottom of the screen. In addition, I hope we had the opportunity to change your mind, because if we can change your mind, then we can change the whole world. And thanks for joining us today. Tag your it, comment in Facebook, send a message, let us know your thoughts on what you thought of today's topic.
#1 multicultural channel. This is TAG TV.